On April 27, 2024, Mica Miller, a 30-year-old woman, was last seen on footage leaving her home in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at around 11:38 a.m. She then went to Dick's pawn shop at around 12:12 p.m. where she purchased a gun. She made a call to 911 at around 2:54 p.m. and asked if a dispatcher was able to track her location. The dispatcher asked Mica to tell her what happened, to which she answered, "I'm about to take my own life, and I just want my family to know where to find me." Then she hung up. The dispatcher was unable to reach Mica after she ended the call, so she contacted the local authorities, who found Mica's black Honda Accord at the Lumber River State Park in Orem, North Carolina. After searching her car, investigators found a Sig Sauer gun case in the passenger seat of the vehicle and a box of ammunition in the center console. They also found a receipt for the handgun from the pawn shop and the receipt from a convenience store in the vehicle. Both receipts were from that same day. While they were searching for Mica in the park, an individual, who wishes to stay anonymous, approached the police telling them he found a bag near the edge of the water, and that he heard crying and a gunshot while he was fishing. He found Mica's belongings, which included a Bible, her driver's license and $500 in what looked like a fanny pack. He did not, however, find or see her body. He did speak with the police and wasn't the only one who called the police. Law enforcement received another call from someone saying they had found a body in the water. An officer went to the scene and called in the North Carolina Medical Examiner's office, who identified the victim as Mica. While searching the area around where Mica's body was found, police discovered a Sig Sauer handgun with a serial number matching the gun case found in Mica's car. Police also found Mica's phone and saw that she had done a search for National Parks Near Me, which showed a result for Lumber River State Park. Just weeks before her passing, Mica posted a video on Facebook about abuse, offering advice for people who may be in an abusive relationship. Some believe the video is proof that she was in an abusive relationship herself. In her video, she said, "God hates divorce. But why? According to everybody I've asked, the scriptures I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that?" Mica was married to John Paul, also known as JP. JP is a pastor at the Solid Rock at Market Common Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Mica was employed as the church's creative director. They got married on November 7, 2017, when Mica was just 23 years old, and JP was 38 years old. They did not have any children together, but JP had 5 children from his previous marriage, which ended in 2016. Mica and JP were married for 7 years. JP has a criminal history of assault and battery, which he pleaded guilty for in 1999. There was also claims that Pastor JP groomed his wife from the age of 10 years old. Mica was concerned about her own safety for months leading up to her demise. She believed someone was watching or following her. On March 11, Mica told officers her tires had been slashed near Springmaid Pier in Myrtle Beach. That same day, when she went to repair her tires, she found a GPS tracking device on her car, which she also reported. Reports showed this was the second time her tires were slashed in a week's time. Mica had an idea of who the person was that was responsible for doing these things to her, and that he has a history of similar actions against her. Officers did not have enough evidence to charge the suspect, who bothered Mica again just hours later. A Facebook group called Justice for Mica pointed out a statement in her obituary that they felt was odd. It reads, "She would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world, even if it wasn't true. She also told him he was the funniest preacher in the world, even though that wasn't true either." The day after Mica passed, JP announced her demise to his congregation, claiming she had taken her own life after struggling with mental illness. He said, "I got a call late last night, my wife has passed away. It was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina." Just before he announced her passing, he was laughing and appeared entirely at ease. The pastor asked the congregation not to discuss her demise inside the congregation. The medical examiner said Mica lost her life because of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the side of her head. But family members have asked authorities to investigate her demise, which they say came just 2 days after she filed for divorce. According to reports, Mica filed for divorce once on October 9, 2023, though the request was dismissed in February 2024. 2 days before her demise, she filed for divorce again. The recently released toxicology report showed that there were no illegal substances or alcohol in her system at the time of her demise. The report also stated that no autopsy was performed because no foul play was indicated. Concerns for the wound on her hands being marks of self-defense were addressed, with the report stating that the injuries were minimal and likely occurred post-mortem as her body was extracted from Lumber River State Park. The report also discusses Mica's known mental health struggles, including an earlier attempt to take her own life via firearm in 2022 and subsequent hospitalization for it. Mica's family has openly stated their beliefs that JP was involved in Mica's passing. Her sister, Sierra Francis, and her brother, Nathaniel Francis, each gave an affidavit to the county of Horry in which they stated their reasons for their family's accusations. Sierra's affidavit alleged that Mica expressed to her that she was fearful she would not make it to the divorce and that her life would be taken from her. Sierra said, "Mica stated to me on many occasions, if I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me, it was JP." The affidavit also alleged that Mica had seen people following her and believed that her husband had hired them to keep track of her location. Sierra states that JP later confirmed this in a sermon she watched. Nathaniel's affidavit stated that Mica forwarded him an email from JP in which he apologized for slashing her tires and damaging her car. He also said that the email continued with JP saying it angered him when Mica put her family before him and that made him want to hurt her. JP's words read, "When someone hurts me, I try to hurt them back rather than forgive, and instead of me forgiving you I just attack and try to cause pain." Nathaniel also stated that Mica had expressed a fear of JP and a desire to escape. Investigators have confirmed that JP had spent the night of April 26 to 27 in Charleston, South Carolina, at a sporting event and was seen driving the Highway 17 bypass in Horry County at 2:22 p.m., approximately 20 minutes before Mica's 911 call. JP's attorney, Russell B. Long, released a statement refuting the accusations of abuse, citing Mica's prior history of mental health struggles. Russell mentioned her bipolar disorder causes paranoia and self-destructive behavior if unmanaged. Russell also said, "Some of the reports made by her in the recent past are nonsensical. This unfortunate reality underscores the importance of destigmatizing mental health and ensuring those affected receive appropriate support and treatment." JP was released from his position as pastor of Solid Rock at Market Common on May 5. The notice from the church states he was released for a time of healing, counsel and guidance, pursuant to our governing instrument. JP filed to seal all court records pertaining to the case on June 11. The filing stated that sealing the records would avoid unnecessary embarrassment for him and his late wife. Mica's family lawyer refused the request. Mica's father, Michael Francis, told the news that he believes it was all staged and that the whole thing was premeditated. One of the reasons he believes she didn't take her own life is due to the exact location her body was found. He said, "The bank where the bird boxes and stuff is where the shell casings and such were found, and the gun was found for that right in the water. And then her body was about 40 meters away, and the water there doesn't flow at all. It's just stagnant." In an interview, JP was seen wearing a necklace like the one his wife was frequently pictured in, including on the day of her demise. During the interview, he breaks down in tears saying, "She was the greatest wife anyone could ever ask for. We spent every night together just talking and talking." No suspects have been named in connection with Mica's demise, and it is unlikely for that to change as the cause of her passing was determined to be self-inflicted. A police report shows that Mica also contacted officers accusing her husband of sharing an indecent photo of herself on a Facebook group called Big Boobs and Nice Curves. Friends of Mica said they don't believe she took her own life. Mica's lawyer, Regina Ward, who represented Mica in her divorce proceedings, told reporters she doubts that Mica took her own life. Regina said, "I'm concerned the scene was investigated for the purposes of looking for evidence to support a finding of someone taking their own life, as opposed to investigating the scene." She also has concerns about how the Robeson County Sheriff's Office conducted its investigation. She told NBC News that police did not corroborate JP's whereabouts with other witnesses, and that Mica's remains did not undergo an autopsy or gunshot residue test. Regina also questioned why Mica did not leave behind a note and described her as someone who wrote journal after journal after journal. Regina last spoke to Mica on April 25, 2 days before her demise, and she seemed very engaged in building a life where she would be free from JP. As for Mica's 911 call, Regina said the 30-year-old's voice sounded different than normal and she speculates that she could have been under the influence of something. In May, Sheriff Bernice Wilkins said in a press release, Unfortunately, rumors and conspiracy theories were spreading quickly, and assumptions were being made. However, in the end, we must make decisions based on the facts and evidence that has been gathered. While I know it's not what many people wanted to hear, the evidence is quite clear and compelling, and we are as saddened as anyone that this occurred. There are many factors that we have reviewed that occurred over an extended period of time that are probably related to the reason for this investigation, but in the end, sadly, a tragic decision was made by Mica that ended her life. Mica's family is currently fighting to have her last name either restored to her maiden name or removed posthumously, as she had filed to have it changed before her demise. If the change is approved, all official documents will reflect that decision.